Welcome back, Wash Up Walkons fans, episode 131 or 2, I think. I'm not sure. Kluver told me, but I didn't listen.
32.
This is the introduction to what is going to be the Q&A episode for us this month. I think we've been slacking on him lately. That's Kluver's fault again. Just going to blame him for everything that goes wrong with the podcast because Kevin and I are just here as the talent. Yeah, hopefully you guys send in some good questions. We're loaded up with good answers, so let's get her kicked off.
That's a great example of extreme ownership out of you, Drake. I love it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that's how it worked, Kevin. I don't remember it.
Oh, did I not get the right message out of that book?
No, I believe the extreme ownership was something about never placing blame or something along those lines.
Yeah, I got a completely different meaning out of that, I guess. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't be the only one as of late. So, for those wondering, extreme ownership, I'm sure most of you have heard of it. We've referenced it before. Jocko Willink book that the team read. I get a lot of those. You guys get DMs like, "Hey, what are those books you mentioned?" You ever get those?
I've gotten a few, yeah.
Yeah, I always like every couple weeks someone will hit me up about the
Slight edge, extreme ownership,
legacy.
legacy, or Goggins is Can't Hurt Me.
Can't Hurt Me is a fucking amazing book.
Yeah, even if like you're
Goggins
not super. Yeah, like I mean, it's just a good read in general. I mean, he tells a pretty good story, so
Yeah,
it's not even if like you're trying to get like your life together and motivated and shit. It's just actually just a good read.
yeah.
Goggins is an absolute nut, though.
He's an-
100%.
Total nut.
Man.
Like there's guys who. So what
Like if you're a Navy SEAL, you're at least 3 standard deviations away from the average. This guy's probably at least another 4 or 5 beyond that.
Right. I was just gonna say there's what I got from reading his book and just from following him is there's people out there who just, for lack of a better way to describe it, they're better than other people. They have a better mindset. They're more determined. They're more dedicated. They're more consistent. They're mentally harder. You know, Goggins' thing is stay hard.
And that's a dude that is about as hard as titanium.
Right. There and there's a lot of guys who are like that. I'd like to consider, us 3, most Division I football players would definitely fit that category relative to a normal human, and so on. But Goggins he's just one of those guys who has all of that, plus he was born with something special.
Right. I mean, you just finish up doing the Navy SEALs and like, okay, I'm just going to run ultra marathons now.
Well,
like
after being extremely fat to start.
Well, here's the thing. The first one he ran, he had never even ran a marathon before. The first one.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
The first one he runs at 225 pounds, no training, 100-mile race.
And he's talking about how he's like literally pissing and shitting. He's pissing blood and shitting himself.
And it was on a track.
Yeah, right. Because like he wasn't like obviously in shape to do that, but he just kept going. Like he should have stopped 30 miles ago, but he had to get to 100 miles in order to qualify for this race that he wanted to actually run in. So he just kept going. And he talks about in the book how he's like, he had like a super hard workout with one of his Navy SEAL buddies the day before.
Right.
He's like, yeah, I'm just going to run 100 miles a day.
Kluv, you and I were just talking about how 5-mile run for you wasn't fun, and 5 miles for me will never get touched unless somebody tells me I can't do it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I mean, you telling me I can't do it just isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, that's just tongue in cheek.
I guess.
Yeah, and this is where I start to feel the relativity between me and him is like, okay, if someone similar challenged me, said, Kluv, you can't go run 30 miles in a day if you weren't trained, or 40 miles in a day.
Like just tomorrow you can't do it?
Right. I could probably go bang that out. I'm athletic enough, I'm fit enough, and I'm mentally
you give someone 24 hours, yeah, I think
Right.
anyone that's decently fit can get 40 miles in a day. I mean, if you're just walking it half the time, but yeah.
Right. 40, 50 miles, but at 225 pounds, 100 miles, bro. That's different. That's just different.
Dude's kidneys were literally shutting down. He was just like, I'm just going to keep going.
Not good. So those are some of the stories in the David Goggins book, Can't Hurt Me. Highly recommend. Drake, have you even read that?
No, I haven't, but I'm a big Joe Rogan guy.
Yeah.
So being that I've watched so many Joe Rogan podcasts, I've heard a lot of David Goggins stories. I've followed David Goggins on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know if I do anymore, but I've seen tons of his videos.
Yeah.
Heard him speak.
I'd recommend that one. It'd be a good one to just listen on tape too.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that would be fantastic. We're recording this a day after he posted a pretty fantastic video about chestnuts.
I just watched the chestnuts video, and I can see how many people could get offended by that. Like, if you don't have the right mindset, that video made you so butthurt.
Yeah, bad. Especially if you're like a guy who thinks he's tough. But anyway, that's a nice little solid intro. Some of the stuff that we're into on this podcast. 132, Drake. 132, Vesley. With Iowa having such success from walk-ons, what's the difference from scholarship players as far as accessibility and schedule? And then I was like confused what he was saying. And he said, do walk-ons have the same privileges as scholarship players? And this might be one of our newer listeners because we've talked about this before. He also said, how much tougher is it for a walk-on? When you're in the complex, you don't know. You don't know who's a walk-on and who's a scholarship player. Like, I think
sometimes you find out day one of practice, but other than that,
right?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same. You pay your own way. Back our first 2 years, you had to pay for training table. That's gone away now. You don't get treated any differently.
I would say, inside the football complex, it's pretty much been mainstreamed to where you don't know. Like, everybody gets to eat the same food. Everybody gets the same access to everything.
Maybe you have to prove yourself a little bit more on the field.
Yeah.
But, coaches see
you definitely have to prove yourself more, and you don't get nearly as many opportunities as to like screw up before it's just not tolerated. Like if a guy gets brought in and they're expecting him to be something and they paid his way there, I've watched right in front of my own eyes a whole lot of guys who didn't deserve to be getting reps where they were getting them because this coach had it in his head that his high school film was just all of that.
I don't know if it's that. It's just that, let's be honest, we were walk-ons for a reason. We weren't the most athletic guys on the field. So they're just like, we need to get this guy who's super athletic. We just got to try, because we don't try. You don't get the reps. He's never going to improve. And so if we get the super athletic guy up to this point, like he's got a much higher ceiling than this walk-on guy who's right.
And they, straight up, back to business. It's a money thing. They invested $20,000 a year into this kid. Like, so they're gonna give him a few extra reps, a few extra, like, hey, come along, because we kind of planned on you being part of the plan here.
But at the same time, man,
prove my point.
At the same time, if you have a walk-on who's just straight up balling out,
like Brady Ross,
right? Like they're not gonna. Okay, we got this scholarship guy who's trash. Who just we just swung in for the fences and missed on this one. And we got this walk-on guy who's balling out. Like, okay, the walk-on's going to start. Like,
yeah.
At the end of the day, the best player is going to play.
For sure. Yeah. Somebody asked Culver's or Freddy's, and it's really close.
Never even had Freddy's.
So
Freddy's has popped up all over the place in the last year. Like, what is it basically the same thing as Culver's?
It's very similar. It's like Freddy's frozen custard and burgers. I would say it's just like a smaller chain of Culver's, basically.
It's Five Guys overall, bro.
It's Five Guys for sure. I mean, but there's a Freddy's in downtown now. There's one that just popped up by Wigan Pen. And then I was driving through Chicago on the way home like a couple weeks ago, and I drove past the Freddy's there. I'm like, these did not exist 18 months ago. Where are these all coming
Well,
from?
I don't know if they originated in Nebraska, but there's a bunch in Omaha and Nebraska, like on our drive to Lauren's family. I've had it. It's good.
Can we fact check that if they are actually from Nebraska and we can boycott them?
Right. If they're from Nebraska, then Culver's is probably the answer, like straight up. I love custard, so give me either one. But like Drake said, give me a Five Guys shake or
Five Guys is
you know what I had last night? Lauren and I went to somebody gave us a gift card for like helping them out with something, and it was a zombie burger.
No,
dude.
No,
not the
Just
burger.
no.
The burgers, no, but the shakes. They have a chocolate cake shake.
I'm not gonna lie. It's just hard. It's just hard to mess up a milkshake. Like there's good milkshakes, and then there's like great milkshakes, but it's hard to have a milkshake that's worse than good. You know?
You're right. I mean, you're correct on that, but I love the cake shakes from Zombie Burger.
Portillo's cake shake. God
damn.
There ain't nothing that got fucking salt on Portillo's chocolate cake shake now. Let me tell you that.
I need one of those immediately. All right, let's get to the question that piqued Drake's interest. If you had to set up a UFC pay-per-view card between former teammates, who would you match up? Who would win, and why?
So the first one that came to mind before Kevin was even talking